What's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back to the channel for a new video. Um, it's a video that it's based on obviously the news that's out there, but based more on an idea that I believe the club is um, starting to create or already have, and it's based on all the renewal news, the new contract news that is kind of spreading like excuse me, in the media, confirmed by Romeo Gresti, all of them, and it's very confusing news when you keep in mind that I'm gonna say like 70 70% of the fan base are like, yeah, Allegri's not gonna be here past next season. Well, if you just look and listen to the renewals, personally, my idea is that, like, my what I think is that he might be here for a very long time. So and I will go into it. I will do that. Before I do that, like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, hit that bell notification as well, and yeah, let's get into today's video. Okay, so you can see the thumbnail. It's Allegri's voice staying, and it might sound a bit off, but when you filter through the news that has been coming out and actually already happened as well, I have a person. I'll put out my feeling at this moment in time, because I'm one of those people where I'm like, I don't think he will be here or he should be or whatever. But when I hear all the renewal news, I'm like, it feels like the club is planning a long-term mini future with Allegri again. Even though the first two seasons, this one, the third, is already one that completely failed. I think they're going for another one with him at the helm. And why do I think that? One, the players being signed, whatever, the coaching staff he's putting together, like, it's young, it's new, it's kind of freshy, it's not old, like, it should be progressive or whatever you want to call it. It should be long-term thinking. Oh, that's the words I was looking for. But even if you look at the names being linked with a new deal, Szczesny, Rugani, excuse me, Rabiot, you know, Pogba and Gatti are maybe the outliners. But in general, like Rugani, like, I will go over each player being linked with a move, and I will explain why I think it has to do with Allegri, a lot of the things. And you cannot, like, if you do certain deals and then you move on from the coach, you're setting yourself up to not fail, but like to make your life more difficult, because a lot of these players are just liked by the coach. And that's why my issue was with Lukaku. I'm like, yeah, you sign him, but if he's not going to be here, then we're screwed, because there are only like a handful of coaches who actually want Lukaku. It's wild. And then you need to go actually grab that type of coach. But like, Chesney is one of those ones where I'm like, I have no problems with Chesney. None whatsoever. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. I think he's very underrated. He gets hate for reasons that has nothing to do with performances, but with wages. Is he on too much wages? 100%. I don't think any goalkeeper should be on that amount of wage. I get that. What I don't get is giving him a new deal long term on the same wages to spread the cost. And I'm like, I don't like this type of planning. Just get it over with. If you think he's costing you too much, you just move on. You need to move on from these players, and you just do it. Because, and financially, I'm like, we're fans. We need to think about fans' opinions for this one. In my opinion, a little bit. You can talk about financial input as well, but like, if you're like, man, we need to spread the cost, then just let the contract run out and get it over with, instead of paying long term for maybe a player you don't want to be here. You're actually doing this purely on a financial strict basis. I don't like that. But Chesney is Allegri's guy. He is his number one goalkeeper. I'm fine with that. I do think the wages are an issue. But like, if we had money, if we were clean, then nobody would be complaining about that. And that's not really what I like, because as a goalkeeper, he's the best goalkeeper we have at the club. He's one of the best in the league. Consistently for a while, and he's good. So I get that, but like, then you move on to the Rugani renewal, and that's one I will never get. I don't care what what explanation you give me. The moment you move on a player, they should not be back at the club under any circumstances. That goes for McKennie, that goes for De Chilio, that goes for Arthur, that goes for Zakaria, that goes for Rugani in this case, and the list goes on and on. Once you tell a player you're not good enough for us, you're not going to be good enough for you again in the next coming years. That's just my opinion. Rugani should not be at the club. His contract runs out, leave. I don't want to hear lower the wage and stay because he's picking up a SWAT number, my opinion, from a player who can be young, very cheap, and can learn and come in and do the same type of job. Because when you sign Rugani, that's what I'm gonna say, and you have Danilo and maybe Alexandro leaves, you kind of force like the club is only forced to get one player in. But when you sit back and you're like, okay, but that backline still is not good enough. We need actually two, you know? We need two good center backs, whatever you want to call it. I don't want Rugani to stay. I don't think he's good enough. He does a job. So will a random player do at home against Empoli. He will do the job, you know? But when the chips are down and every single time, big games, Villarreal, whatever, he crumbles. And he has good games. I get that. But so do a lot of average players. They have good games. Alexandro, once in a while, has a good game. You know, players do have good games. Overall, no. Like, it's been way too long. Like, it's not a toxic relationship, but it's a relationship where you're like, we know you're not good enough. We send you out on loan. And even Cagliari and Nice said, no, thank you. And here we are handing out money for what? Same for De Chilio. Oh, he's a good backup. He's not. He's never available. Yes, he had this freakish injury now, but even before that, he's never available and he's not any good, you know? Good backups are. I'm not going to say it because it's wild, you know? Like Benatia was a good backup, obviously, like, but that's the level we should be going to, you know? And I get we cannot change everything in one season, but he's a free agent. You just let him walk and you move on, you know? Don't spend money on these type of players, but we're going to do that. Now, the big thing is Rabiot, you know? He's apparently lined up to get a new deal on the same money long term to spread it. And I'm like, no, 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 no. You can get cheaper and better. I think we can all agree on that. Like, let's be completely honest here. You know, even the 1 year deal is very strange money wise for us. Um, you can get better and cheaper. Like, there's no issue. Like, you don't need to commit to overkill wages when you can see that the performances don't match that. Like, when you have an issue with Szczesny being paid at 6.5, what is the issue with Rabiot being on +7? And he's gonna keep that apparently. You know, it's just long term to spread it out a little bit. I'm like, no, why? No, why are we doing this? Why are we actually thinking about doing these type of things? You know, it makes absolutely no sense. But all these things kind of put me into a corner where I'm like, this feels like he is the guy, and he's gonna be the guy for the next couple of years and try to build something here again, because otherwise you're not doing these type of deals. You're not, especially not in September, basically. You know, when the initial talks already start, you're not doing these type of deals. You know, Pogba, he is his guy, but even if he's his guy, there should be no contract extension. The only thing you can ask Pogba now to do is, do you want to lower your wage or, you know, forfeit the bonuses because, well, you're not never fit? If he says no, I don't blame him, by the way. But that's the only thing you need to do. You don't need to give him a new deal, a long-term deal, to spread out the wages. Then no, be harsh and say, please lower it or please leave. You know, no hard feelings, but find another club who will pay you the money, and they will. But, you know, get this over with. Don't do those long-term deals and whatever. You know, they don't make any sense. What does make sense, excuse me, is giving Junior a new deal. Yildiz, Hoysen, Gatti, they are very cheap players on cheap money. They didn't cost you a lot of things. If it doesn't work out, you recoup the money easily. The wages are not that high, so teams will take them on as of now before you actually know, you know what, they are very good players and we can commit to a certain type of deal. That I get, you know, building for the future. But when we do the other things, and as fans, you need to think about the financial aspect a little bit at this moment in time, but just think about a fan perspective and then think secondary about the financial perspective. A lot of these things don't make sense. A lot of these things don't scream long-term project with a new coach or whatever, like a long-term good vision. If it screams long-term slash short-term and whatever, one time you're like, wow, that's good, and the other time you're like, why are we doing this, you know and that's my new theory, basically, conspiracy theory, that I think this is moving towards, like, even the news that's you know coming out, especially from Gazzetta dello Sport. It feels like, and I'm not joking, at one point we will hear Allegri could sign a new deal and also spread his wages or something like that, lower his wages, but be here. Don't be shocked if that will come very, very soon. Maybe during the international break, the next one, but it will come. Like, it's all lining up for that news to come out and be like, he can sign a new deal. That's the feeling I have at this moment in time. But let me know in the comments what you think about the contract renewals, and the spreading the wages out, even for players who are free agent basically and don't need to pay anymore. Let me know what you think about that. And also, do you believe the club is actually planning with Allegri for the next couple of years? Because I'm starting to have that feeling based on the latest news, and especially the last 2 weeks, in my opinion. But let me know in the comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will be back tomorrow, Friday.